People often ask me, what are archetypes? And I always say that if you're confused, then you're in the right place. Archetypes are primal and cosmic forces that exist on a higher plane of reality outside of our material world. These are energetic signatures that are implanted within the human genome. They're part of our human tech. And when we learn to tune into these archetypes, when these primal energies, we expand what it means to be human, and we expand our capacity to tune into the unseen realms. So, why archetypes? Why did I fall in love with archetypes? Which I did. I fell in love with them. So after the 2020 portal, which I'm sure all of you can relate to when I say portal, I think it changed something for all of us in ways great and small. And I don't think I know anyone who hasn't lost someone through that portal in some way or another. Not to mention this recent election portal, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, so back in 2020, I had recently lost my father. My father took his life at the end of 2019, and so 2020 started off with a bang for me. And I decided, at the time I was doing professional counseling, and I had been doing that for about 12 years, and I decided that I no longer wanted to be beholden to the state. After my father's death, everything shifted, and I decided to forfeit my license and start working on my soul craft. And the first thing I did was writing. I had always been called to writing. I'd always loved to write, and like many creatives, I've always dreamt of being a published author. I had been following the platform Medium for a couple of years. Such great writers on that platform. If you're not familiar with Medium.com, I highly recommend it, whether you're a writer or reader or just a human. So I was familiar with Medium through my work with clients. I often used pieces from writers on mental health or addiction or some spirituality stuff. I wasn't heavily into it at that time, but I would pull pieces and use them in groups. And so I had set this goal for myself many years ago that at some point I would publish on Medium. So come the 2020 portal, COVID hits, I move out of state, I moved to North Carolina, and I started writing. I remember the first couple pieces I published on Medium. I was so scared. I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect, but I did know that I was tuning into something that was setting my soul on fire. So I continued to write. I wrote effusively and every day, at least a couple of pieces a day in the first year and a half. I did that pretty religiously for maybe 2 years. And then I found Substack, and I wanted to kind of expand my writing reach and perhaps make some money off of it and through my newsletter. I also wanted to start focusing more on spirituality. And the reason why I wanted to start focusing more on spirituality was because of the beautiful writings of a particular writer and friend on Medium. She wrote a lot about her childhood, and she wrote a lot about childhood trauma, a lot about addiction, a lot about these common experiences that we have as humans. And I remember she wrote a piece about the saboteur and the archetype of the saboteur. And I was, somewhat familiar with archetypes through just being a Jungian fanatic. But she brought them into sharp focus. And when in reading about the characteristics of the saboteur, the impetus to undermine and to give away our power and to self-sabotage. And I saw these themes running through the stories and narratives, not only in my own life, but with my work with clients through my, over a decade of working in addiction and mental health. So I remember reading the piece, and something just shifted in me. This sense of being seen and understanding and connection and and being felt in a way that I hadn't experienced before. Then came Kim Krans. So if you're not familiar with Kim Krans, she is an amazing artist, and she has created multiple oracle decks. This one, the Wild Unknown Archetypes, this oracle set changed my life. I can honestly say it changed my life. Her descriptions and her stories and the way that she describes archetypes is life changing. It shifted my idea of what it meant to be a human being. Not only did it do that, but it infused my writing. Her cards and her insight and her channelings infused my writing with a sort of spark of life that it hadn't had before, and a depth. And that I felt my soul calling me even deeper into the work that I was doing through the writing and processing of my own stuff. It not only did tuning into Kim Krans' archetype book and her cards expand my idea of what it means to be human, but it also expanded my idea of where my work was leading me, what this writing was all about. And it started crafting my work into something that was meant to help and to heal and to teach. It shifted it from processing to mentoring. I just want to give you an example of one of the cards. Look at how beautiful this is. And this is like I want to say one of the dullest cards visually in the deck. The Kiss. So each card has, this beautiful card, and then it has a description in the book. And I have just a story about the Kiss. So after writing about archetypes and working with them myself for about a year intensively, and working with her oracle decks. She has several decks, and I've worked with all of them. Her tarot deck I'm not as familiar with, but her oracle, her spirit animal, and her alchemy decks I am very well versed in, and I will be using them in my daily postings. I'm going to start doing daily archetypal influence videos, and they will be largely based on her cards. So anyway, back to the Kiss. So I was so inspired by archetypes that I decided to, when I moved to Oscoda last May, I just decided to start archetypal activation groups. It took a little bit to get going, but now I have 2 fully functioning, full to capacity women's groups based on archetypal activation, activating these primal energies, these cosmic forces within ourselves to empower us, to expand what it means to be who we are, to set fire to our gifts and our soul, and that's what it's doing. It's these experiences with these women are just mind blowing and beautiful. And for one woman in particular, the Kiss card, we pull cards at each group, and this Kiss card kept coming up for her, and it repeatedly, and then it came up for us as a group theme. And just a little bit about the way that these archetypes work. I was very, I didn't feel a real resonance with the Kiss originally. I was kind of like, what is this about? To me, it symbolized romantic connection and sensuality, and I just didn't really see how it was tying into my experience or our collective experience with my group of women. So I meditated on it for a couple of days, and I just, sort of immersed myself, marinated in this energy of the Kiss. And then it came to me. From this channeled wisdom, which is what happens when we tune into these archetypes. I feel like it's channeled wisdom from the unseen realm. Showed me that the Kiss was exactly what was happening in my groups. In our groups, it is that energy of connection, of truly being seen in our rawness and in our pain and in our joy and in all of it. And it's that feeling of me too. Oh my gosh, I've been there. That feeling is the Kiss. And that kind of insight, that kind of tuning into these forces that are that are universal and encoded within us lead to these openings and these beautiful expressions and understandings of our everyday life, of our experiences in moving through the world. In tuning into the KISS, I have found an even deeper appreciation for the work that I'm doing with these women and the work that we're doing together and the work that we're doing collectively. So that's just a little bit, just a little taste of archetypes and how I got started with archetypes and the way that I use them and how they play into my life. I'm really excited to start this journey on this YouTube channel with archetypes. And we're going to be doing a lot of work with nature archetypes and tuning into the elementals. And I'm excited to have you with me. So let's get started.